This is the most capable Wagoneer ever built. It's called the Wagoneer Overland Special Edition. Jeep says that this will go essentially anywhere, of course, in style. And they say it's not just a trim, it's a purpose-built SUV. Well, today we're gonna find out what is an Overland Special Edition Wagoneer. Let's roll. Now, in the DNA of Jeep, we know there's a lot of off-roading, a lot of rugged. And some of that DNA is quite visible in here. In fact, you can see it through the tow hooks at the front. We've got a skid plate because you want to make sure you protect the beautiful engine under the hood. And of course, at the front, we have the Wagoneer badge in blacked out. Now, one thing you notice with this vehicle, even though it is a Jeep, you don't see any Jeep badges at the front. In fact, you only see them on the side where the mirror is located, and that's about it. And then you move on to the side where that off-road style continues. First, the wheels. We've got 20-inch wheels with 32-inch tires, all terrain, and it is equipped with airlift suspension system. Next thing, besides the fact that it has a front skid plate, it also has an axle and fuel tank protection to make sure that if you do end up hitting a rock, well, you don't want to get stuck there with fuel leaking everywhere or destroying the axle on this vehicle. Furthermore, we have a side step, which it is fixed. And of course, you can't miss the American flag that says Wagoneer on the sides. And then we'll move on to the back where things remain very chill. First, the Wagoneer badge. Again, no Jeep in this one. There's a spare tire underneath, and that's about it. The disappointing part is it doesn't have any recovery hooks like the Expedition, for example, or the Armada with the Pro 4X, which does offer that on the sides. This doesn't. It seems like they don't really think that you need that on the rear side, although you do have an actual tow hook. But other than that, no recovery hooks like the front end. Hey, at least you get it at the front. Okay, jumping onto the interior, we'll start first with the third row. What do you get in terms of tech features? Well, behind the third row, you've got a couple of buttons on the side. You can fold also the second row. In total, we've got 3 seats in the back, 2 in the center, 2 in the front. That makes it 7 seats. Plus, you got a panoramic roof for the front row, second row, and the third row get their own treatment. One of the things that I can tell you about the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer is that out of all the 3 large SUVs or 3-row SUVs out there, it has the best third row for me. It offers the largest windows in the third row, which gives you amazing visibility. In the center, we have this massive screen with some buttons underneath here in case if you want some buttons. And then you also have these tap options for heated seats in this case with 2 different zones. We also have ventilated seats for the front passengers and the driver's side, and you've got your heated steering in this case with 3 levels. Very much things will remain the same here. The car is actually pretty loaded for this package. It's pretty loaded. Now let's get into the details a bit here, what you get with the main screen. One thing I gotta mention about this screen, and you'll notice that as well as I'm reviewing, it's bit laggy, I gotta admit. It's like the software, it's a bit slow. Like you press buttons, sometimes they take a bit of time. It's not all the times, but I've noticed it is a little bit laggy compared to other systems. Maybe they need to update this to the latest. But there you go. So you press it and there's like a slight delay, but not something that would annoy you. I just noticed that because I drive so many different vehicles. Now, going to this one, we've got second headrest fold with this package. The same thing for the third one. One of my favorite features about this thing is the blind spot monitor. Really, really smart. And here you go more, gives you access to the surround of the vehicle when you're driving, and it turns on automatically when you indicate left or right. And I'm assuming I have to be into drive. There you go. So you go to left and then you go to right. Now, one thing I can say about that blind spot monitor is the fact that I wish it was on the actual cluster, because I'm not looking at this screen when I'm driving, I'm looking at the screen at the front side of the vehicle. So sometimes it's a good thing, but depending on the speed. If you're driving slowly, you can still pay attention to this a bit, you know, just a quick glimpse, and you can have the best visibility on the side. But I rather prefer it on the actual cluster. So if someone works for this company, next time, just moving on to the cluster, I think will be a lot easier. You've got your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can connect from here. Your climate unit, you can control it from the front and the back. The rear side does have heated seats, and you can also lock it from here in case if you have kids, which is really nice. You can synchronize it to the driver so that it matches the same temperature as the front. The entire vehicle has the same temperature. We go into the vehicle. You've got your dashboard. This is your off-road pages, which a lot of people are going to use, as you saw that. Your dynamics in this case. These are super important. You've got a lock-in differential in the back, the same thing in the front. You can lock it from here. You've got your rear axle locker, transfer case as well. It does come with a transfer case, steering angle when you go off-road. You got your pitch and roll, which is great. You got your terrain mode, so you can select your terrains. And then you've got your suspension system in case it's normal level, but you can raise it even further up. Now, when it comes to the driving modes, you can do snow, sand and mud. And you got your rock as well. It should go into rock mode. And here you go. And there's auto and sport. That's your sport if you want to have some fun with it. I'm gonna leave it into auto. This is the best one. But that's your off-road pages, which is super important when you go off-roading. You want to know the pitch and roll, the gauges here, your oil temperature, transmission, battery voltage, your dynamics, so you can see everything from here. You can also put the vehicle into four-wheel drive low, which is important. In fact, if you turn the wheel like this, you can see it. Here you go. You also have a downhill assist with this package, which helps you with off-roading, really nice and handy. Underneath here, you've got your buttons for the climate unit, easy access. There is a 360 camera with this package, as you can see it right here. Thank you. So that's about it. It does give you some options, but I would prefer this system to be a little bit better next time because it feels a little bit slow compared to other systems that I've used recently, like the Ford, for example. But let's not forget, the system has been like this for a bit. Eventually, they're going to update it to the latest one, potentially, a new software, and it should be a lot faster than this. Next, how much is it going to cost you in Canada, US, and what engine options are available? And we'll talk a little bit about the competitors. I think we should roll. Okay, let's talk about this. Under the hood, this model uses a 3-liter inline-6 twin turbocharged engine, making 420 brake horsepower and 468 pound-feet of torque. It uses an 8-speed automatic transmission. In Canada, this one starts at about $95,000, $96,000. In the US at about $84,000, $85,000. But if you had to compare that to the Expedition and Tremor, because Ford is offering a Tremor version of the Expedition and the Armada Pro 4X, which is the off-road version of the Armada, well, in Canada, this is slightly cheaper compared to those two. Now, one thing I can tell you is that the Armada has a more aggressive setup compared to this. The Expedition Tremor also has a bit more of aggressive setup on tires, for example, and same thing with the Armada. It feels also a little bit higher off the ground, a bit more aggressive, even with the recovery hooks front and back. But they're well capable three-row SUVs that can go off-road without major issues. And I think if that's what you're looking for, then this is going to offer you. I don't hear much of the road noise with this vehicle. The tires don't make a lot of noise, and I think that's why they have picked this kind of tire, so that it doesn't give you a lot of off-road noise or the wind, the tire noise that you hear a lot in the other vehicles. So this one feels a bit more quiet. Even the ride is as soft. You can raise it depending on your situation. Also raises itself when it needs to, based on the driving mode. It's a good package. If you love the vehicle, it's a great package to have. and I think does pretty well. I don't know how it's going to do off-road because I'm not planning to take this off-road. I don't think most people are planning to take this off-road, but what I do know is that I got to go and put gas.